Today's guest in the podcast is Katie Marquez. A few fun facts about Katie. In high school, she got me and my dogs good angles back in entrepreneurship. She's a horse girl, enough said. And she went to Kentucky, Salt School. Enjoy the podcast. I don't know how well this message in particular would resonate with you, but last night I watched a Jordan Peterson video. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Mm.
He's a professor at University of Toronto, I think. He became famous because he resisted this bill called C-17 or something that was requiring by law to call people by their preferred pronouns. And basically he went out on a limb and said that he doesn't like the law dictating like the use of language, basically. So there was a video where like these brightly colored hair liberals were screaming in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And just from that video got famous. So anyway, he started posting. I'm pretty sure he was posting his lectures before then, but he posted a video and he's like a world renowned, like basically like the internet's dad sort of thing. Like he basically all of his teachings are about like character development and like how to act in the world. Anyway, last night he said, or not last night, in the video that I watched last night, he talked about how error messages in the real world are information about the implicit world. So like, let's say you get like he said his example was you get a C+ on a test, and like in the objective reality, it's just a piece of paper with lines on it, and then we give that meaning. But like the implicit world is telling you that like you're either A, like shitty at studying, or like the subject isn't for you. It's basically telling that you need to correct something, right? So in this very long-winded explanation of this video, he related this to like the hero story of slaying the dragon. So when you ignore these implicit world messages, you're basically letting the dragon like slowly eat you away. So like if you let that bad grade tilt you and like you keep getting bad grades, you're gonna like drop out or do something like that. But if you take it as information and you like adjust properly, that's like getting the gold that the dragon hoards, right? So there's like a two-way to take anything.
Right.
So I was wondering, like, with your experience in therapy, at what point, or it doesn't have to really be with therapy, at what point in your life did you start to, I guess, like, take accountability, like internalize shame when it came to like receiving these like error messages in real life?
Right. I think it's funny that it's talked about like that, like an error message, because that kind of is what it is. But like I remember, take bad grades for example. I stopped being a stellar student right around 8th grade when I was like, I don't have to legally do my math homework, so I'm not going to. And then I didn't. So obviously that resulted in bad grades, even though I was getting said feedback, I didn't do anything about it. In regards to the, letting that tilt you, as you said, my dad has a saying that is, don't let something beat you twice. So obviously when a first bad thing happens and it hits you and it takes you down a couple notches, don't let it keep beating you down by continuing to not take care of it or dwell on it, and letting it continue to beat you, or like a dragon. Yeah, so I've always thought that was cool, and something that I really didn't start taking to heart until probably a couple years ago when I was like, let me feel my feelings, because I've been at first, you kind of push those feelings back. You don't want to deal with them. Then you feel your feelings. And then sometimes you get caught in a cycle of feeling too many feelings when you have things to do. So it's a very delicate balance of how much emotion you should let yourself process, because again, you do have to think about bad things that have happened to you, because that's the only way you're going to get through them. If you block them out, at some point that dam is going to break and you're going to experience a flood when you were not ready for it.
I agree.
So you got to take a bucket and you got to, shovel some of that water out gradually at a time and place where it's acceptable for the water to drain. Otherwise, you're fucked. Yeah.
So how did that like? How did you repressing those things and not taking that water out? How did that manifest in your life?
Lashing out at other people. I think it was definitely, it's your problem, not mine. I'm good.
Mm.
Um,
So like for a bad grade
it was
example, like would you get pissed at like your teacher or professor instead of being like,
that was more apathy. That was, I don't give a shit. That was, yep, I didn't do it. And you know what? It was there was a safety in failure. And I think this is very interesting because um meaning if I don't try, I know I'm going to fail. I know exactly what the outcome is. If I do try, I could do well or I could not do well. And that, putting the effort in and not getting the reward, as someone who is, I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I procrastinate because sometimes I feel like I can't get something done at the level that I know I can get it done at because I'm not in the right mindset, mood, I'm too tired, whatever. So kind of in that regard, if I can't control everything, at least I can control my own failure,
yes, I
my
definitely,
choice.
I feel what you're saying exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like one of those things that I when you were saying that story, what I thought about immediately was that like in high school I was able to just skate by and not study and like, get like a decent
Mhm.
like above 3.5 GPA. And then when college came around, like I just got like destroyed by my first few tests. And like after that, I was
Mhm.
like, well, if I don't study, I mean, now that I'm looking back, this is how I think. Like this is how I was thinking. It was that
Right.
if I don't study, if I like half-ass study, then I'm gonna expect that I get these shitty grades. And so like
Yeah.
it was, I feel like it's not exactly the same what you're talking about, but that's like how I resonate. It's like you sort of like are
Yeah.
confirming like your own like insecurity about like, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like so that's
Yeah.
interesting. So yeah. Um
It's that secured feedback. You're like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
yes.
This equals that. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's like
that
it's yeah. Instead of going out on a limb and risking failure, that's what you're sitting and doing. So yeah, that's so what did your dad like learn that from like somewhere?
I actually don't know where that phrase comes from now that I think about it. But I remember him telling me that after I had gotten dumped in college, and
Mm,
I was obviously very sad about it, and I was continuing to be sad about it. He was like, "Don't let it beat you twice."
okay.
And that's like we were walking out of the parking lot in the mall, and that's like that is forever ingrained in my brain when he said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Um, so it's something that I've definitely kind of, at first I was more like, yeah, okay, whatever, like, let me do my thing. Cause by then I've been in therapy and, doing my own little introspection, blah, 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 whatnot for years and years and years. And I'm going, I know myself, I know how to deal with this. But at some point you realize, okay, I have other things to do that is not sit around and deal with my feelings. I don't have time to do that all the time. There are other things that need to be done.
Right.
So I think that's definitely something that's changed for me in the past year or two, not letting my feelings control me as much.
Okay.
But kind of being in a polite relationship where I can feel them, but they won't totally dictate life.
Okay.
They're
So
not gonna get me down in the dumps again.
is that a skill that you learned, like that mindfulness of like separating yourself from those emotions? Was that a skill that you learned through therapy, or was that like a self practice sort of thing?
I don't think it was ever said to me like, "Here is what you should do," but um, think through, talking about stuff like that with my therapist. You know, she was kind of like, you know, you got a lot going on, man. But this is this is normal. This is what life is. Life is not lived in bed or sitting doing nothing. There are things to do. Everyone has things to do, and you have to find your own way of being able to do them and be an adult and get it together and get moving. And I think a lot of that drive definitely came from finding a passion, what I genuinely like to do,
Hmm.
um, because uh, I, I was never really big on school. I could skate by just like you said, so I never really learned how to study. So me having to study and do like math, and I was like, I'm never going to use this again in my life. Why am I doing this? It was like I don't want to do it, so I didn't do it.
Right. Right.
Which that's not. It's fine in some things, if you don't
Yeah.
want to do it, don't do it. But there are some things that you literally have to do, like and so it's kind of prioritizing those things that you literally must do, um, be a functional person.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people who likes to talk about how like I mean, we definitely are more coddled than previous generations, but I feel
Yeah,
like there is like a much because we like all kids growing up nowadays like definitely have the ability to like have consequences intercepted from them like from their actions
yeah,
like if they don't study like I feel like it's like everyone's way more richer than they were before, like I don't know, like the area of opportunities is so much bigger. But
right.
um when I was very young, I feel like this is like one of the main origins of like why I like personally like became, well, I'll describe it and then you can like let me know what it sounds like. But it was in third grade and it was before school started. And this is, I mean, like no one likes elementary school growing up, but I woke up I woke up I woke up one morning and I was sitting on the floor and I was like fiddling with like this handle on the table that we had in our family room.
Mhm.
And I was just thinking about like I don't want to go to school, but like I'm about to get dressed and go to school. And my mom looked at me and like my mom was like seeing me like doing an odd behavior, just like fiddling there, like looking spaced out. And
Yeah,
she asked me if I was feeling sad, and she sort of labeled it. Like she was like, "Are you feeling sad?"
yeah,
And then I was like, and she like in her defense, 100% that she was just like actually inquiring about how I was feeling. She wasn't trying to like label what I was and tell me what I was feeling, but I
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I am sad." And then I've seen like how my sisters were treated when they were sad. Like they usually like got out of responsibility. Like people stayed away from them. And so for my mom to
Yeah.
say that, um, that day I didn't go to school. So like from that point
Yeah.
on, I always attributed this like reluctance to do stuff that I need to do. I always went back to that feeling and I just like let myself feel it. Even though it wasn't like I was I was like magnifying it 100%. Like I went from
Yeah.
this is something I have to do to something that like, well, if like I like look and feel debilitated enough, I can get out of this.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that sort of snowballed like really hard, and this is like one of my clearest memories ever. And like it was hard for me to admit it because I mean, I don't blame myself because I was in third grade, but like
Yeah.
it was like an origin story where like it was an innocent way to get out of something,
Mhm.
but then it just snowballed into something that I could never recognize again until I went to therapy, and
Right.
I was like, holy shit, like this thing right here is, like I'm not like not depressed anymore, but that I think it goes back to what you're saying
Yeah.
about you sort of learn like
You still have it though,
yes, there's like a
You may not
there's like
be
a
depressed, but you still have it.
yes,
Yeah.
like you're less affected by it, and there's there's sort of a you sort of get like bolstered by the fact that like that you have to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once you get
Mhm.
past the part where it's like if you like I talk about not giving yourself a back door. So it's like if you know that you have to do this and like at
Mhm.
the end of the day if you delay this, then you're only setting yourself back. Like if you're like keep your
Yeah.
own accountability, it's like okay, then like that gives you the strength to go and push it back. But if you keep telling yourself that like this doesn't need to be done, this is just whatever I'm gonna keep
Mm.
like, then that's when it's like that's when it like is really hard to do stuff. I don't know if that last part made sense, but that's how I see it.
No, I definitely get that. A lot of lost my train of thought. Accountability. It was, I. It's like there's like a something on Twitter. It says, um, you know, I set deadlines for myself, but then I ignore them because I know that bitch is not she's not gonna do anything to me. So
Right.
again, that self accountability was hard for me because I'm like, I know I'm not gonna give a shit where I look like my mom. No,
Right. So
I'm
how
me.
do
I'm
you keep
fine.
yourself in check then now?
A schedule, a planner. I'm still working through it, honestly. I my sleep schedule has been fucked since I was a junior because I had mono then, and I'm sleeping 20 hours a day, missing a ton of school. Um, and I think I truly never recovered from that. Like I nap a ton, and that is really hard to do when you have a goddamn job.
Yeah.
It's single. But I think being open and honest with other people saying, "Hey, sometimes I will have trouble with this, and it's not me being a dick or being flaky or anything like
Right.
that. This is just what's up. Sometimes it happens, and you might need to call me out. Like I missed like a couple therapy appointments, and my therapist said, "You need to call me before we can schedule another one." And I was like, "No, what are you talking about? I was born in 1997. I don't call people on the phone. What the hell are you talking
Right.
about? No." Mm-mm-mm. I was dreading that phone call, and I was
Mm-hmm.
fine because she was like, "You good?" And I was like,
Right.
"Yes."
Yeah.
Good being a relative term? Yeah, I'm fine. She was like, "Okay, well, no." And then we made a policy that was if I was gonna cancel an appointment with her, I had to call her.
Damn.
I hadn't canceled an appointment since because I'm like, I don't feel like I'd rather walk the 10 minutes down the road that I have to, go to see her than pick up the phone and call her because
That's
God
smart.
forbid I do that.
Damn. Dude, phone anxiety is huge. Like, it took me
It makes no
until,
sense.
yeah, like, I
You
was
can
gonna say,
literally
because,
just
like,
hang up
what?
at any point in time.
Yeah.
You say
Like,
something wrong, just go click, piece
right.
of shit.
And it's so weird. Like, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Why? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Like, it would make it, on paper, it seems like being in person would be more, like, nerve wracking because, like, it's your
Yeah.
entire person. It's like just picking up the phone and being like, all right, you're like planning out the conversation in your head. You're like, I hope
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, yeah.
Why?
I don't
Makes
know.
no sense.
I
And
don't know.
I personally, I think for me, it's because do you ever do like, do you have ADD?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is why we're doing this. Um, uh, and it's like someone will say something to you and you'll go, what? And then they'll start to repeat themselves, but then the message will register you. So you'll answer them. And it just looks like you're
Yes.
being a dick because you cut them off.
Yes.
But really, you just didn't, you heard it, but you weren't listening.
Yes. I
Um,
was hearing the Wii Sports music in my head, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!" Like, yeah, that's what you
oh,
said.
we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
uh,
Exactly.
yeah. So that I think is part of it for me. Like I really have to focus when I'm going to be on a phone call. Otherwise, I can't be doing anything else.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I won't listen, and then I'll be like, "What did you say?" And like I'm hard of hearing anyways because I'm yelling constantly. So
Yeah.
it's just not a good time.
My issue was always like until I started working on like active listening, I was like, I would always I would have a very wide spectrum. It was like imagine like we're playing like an RPG and you have like certain dialogue options. Like I would only really like allot myself like two or three dialogue options depending on what they
Yeah,
said. So if it was just like a
yeah,
little bit relevant, I would still say it and it would make the conversation awkward. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I wasn't like but nowadays I'm like I have to like I tell myself that I can't prepare anything. Like I'll like get to
yeah,
know why I'm calling this person, like what I want to achieve.
yeah.
Um but now like I said like if I plan out anything, I'm gonna do that NPC shit and I'm gonna ruin everything. So it's like I gotta be vigilant about it. So
Nice
yeah.
weather out today.
Yeah.
What is the thing? Blah 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 blah. And then I used to be a warrior like you, and then I took an arrow to the knee, and everyone's like,
Yes.
"What the fuck are you talking about?"
Every time
Which
you walk past
is
me.
slang for proposing.
What
Do you know that?
is? Huh?
Taking an arrow to the knee is like old Nordic slang for proposing, and that's why you get down on one knee when you propose.
Really? That
Hmm.
meme has whole new meaning now.
I know, right? People think I'm smart, but I really just know random shit like that, and I can pull it up like that.
Right. You retain a lot of Reddit shit.
Yeah, I'm like
Damn.
9gag. I didn't even know about Reddit back in the day. It was 9gag.
Yeah, you were a 9gag pioneer actually. Yeah.
Stop it, you.
Yeah. And it's, dude, okay, because I remember we used to use Stumble Upon and Nine Gag, but then those kind of like, yeah, those kind of
Stumble
faded out.
upon Jesus.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, those were the days. But anyway, ADD, by the way. Um, um, so yeah,
Dude,
so like,
they put
huh,
me on a one medicine that was Concerta, I think, and it was a daily. It wasn't like a fast acting one, so it kind of had to build up in your system. I tripped balls for a month straight. I kid you not. I do
really?
not remember that month of my life. No idea what
Holy
happened.
shit.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that the wildest thing?
I take Wellbutrin, full disclosure, and when I bumped up my dosage like this time last year, I had
Yeah.
an actual out of body experience the first night that I took it, and I was like, these are no joke. It works, but
Yeah.
these are no joke, like 100%. So
That was the pills. Remember I told you the other day that I opened up my pills and they smelled like farts?
yes,
Was my Wellbutrin. Don't
my
get the
Wellbutrin
pink ones.
doesn't
They
smell
smell
like
like
that.
farts. I'm really jealous of you. Because I
Damn,
don't know, I got it from a different pharmacy and I was like, why do your pills smell like they just pez popped out of someone's asshole? This is disgusting.
that's suspect. You need to stick
Sus.
the FDA on them. That doesn't sound
Pink
right.
pill sus. No, I went back and they were like, yeah, sometimes this happens. I was like, what the fuck do you mean sometimes this happens? That's not a
Sometimes you guys
thing.
should look into it. Damn.
Yeah. I don't, it's because the little Descatin that they put in there. I get like a
Mm.
weird, I get 90. And so they come in bottles of 60. And so they were out, they were in a different bottle without the Descatin in there. And now they smell like
Oh, okay.
farts. They gave me some Descatin. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know.
I didn't know that they needed that. That's interesting. I haven't heard of. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry, I'm thinking about like cotton balls and like Advil or Aleve. They're in Aleve, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that
I
technically a
think so.
desiccant? I think it is. I mean, I'm a chemistry person. I should know this.
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea. I
I don't
always
know.
thought because
Yeah.
I
Sorry, keep going.
it's in some of my capsule ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was like to keep them from like breaking because they're kind of like flimsy. I thought it was
Mm,
like in shipping when they so they wouldn't break. I have no idea.
I see what you mean. I mean, yeah. I mean, that makes sense too. But okay. Going back to when your dad sent you that or said you don't let the same thing beat you twice. Paraphrasing.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I'm curious as to like how fast you implemented that, because I had this conversation the other day with one of my friends, and it was like it was sort of like biological determinism sort of talk. It was like no matter what you say to someone, unless they have a life experience to ground that like um I don't know what you would call the thing that your dad said, like a mantra to live by. Like, I don't like, unless you have
Yeah.
some life experience to like really wake you up, you can
Yeah.
like have your dad saying that in the back of your mind like as much as you want, but until like you actually have wisdom to ground you, then like, or experience to ground you, then that's like, it's
Yeah.
hard. So like, was that something that like, because that experience was so fresh in your mind when he told you that you were able to think about that and implement that moving forward, or was it that he told you that and you still had to like go through some things to like really prevent like that self-sabotage in the future?
I should go through some things because again, I didn't graduate from Kentucky. I was like, see y'all later. Um, I mean, and I definitely believe in signs and signals, and I believe that a certain sign will keep getting louder until you physically cannot ignore it. And there were a couple times when I was like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't be in college. Hey, you should probably go try something else. Hey, you should probably go do this." And then finally left, like because
Okay.
I mean, Kentucky was like, "Hey, your grades are shit. Come
Yeah.
back, try again later." And I was like, "I'll just, I'm gonna go." And then I left. And
Yes.
then for a while, I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do. And like my mom found um, ad school online. And she was like, "Well, you should go try this." And I was like, I would like to depression nap for another couple months, and then maybe we'll think about it. You know. So, anyways, it ended up being better for me, and but for a while, it got really shitty before it got any like semblance of better.
Yes.
Um,
I
and
hear you.
again, I think sometimes that you have to go, like you said, you have to go through an experience like that. Otherwise, you're not going to apply it. So
Right.
shit had to go really wrong before it could go really right.
Yes. The process can be extremely brutal sometimes. Like that's when okay, like the reason why I like religion, like I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual
Mhm.
person. I know that's a head ass statement in some communities, but that's who I am.
I was going to say it, but if you, yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean.
but so like I think the thing that I like about like being religious is like undying faith and like unconditional faith. You know what I mean? And like that's
Right.
what you
Yeah.
basically had to really like you had to have that in that situation because you were like this is sort of like a lose lose if I stay here. Like I see the
Yeah.
pending danger, and then if I like leave here, and then so
You have no idea what's
it's
coming.
yeah. So it's a very I haven't had to make. Is there any like do you have any like takeaway insight on like that sort of experience? Like, because that's like a major life moment where like people like I stayed with my major because I was too far deep, like a 2 and a half
Yeah.
years into it. I didn't transfer schools, like I didn't even though I wanted to do these things. So like for me to I had no backup plan whatsoever. So I was just like I'm just gonna bite the bullet and hope for the best. And that has worked out. But
Yeah.
so like for you, how would you say that that experience, all things considered, is gonna like help you move differently in the future? I mean, if you thought about this before, otherwise,
No, 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 I am
oh,
trying to think about how I'm going to articulate it. You have to be, you have to have different baskets of life. Like you have to have, you can't put everything into one thing because it's not, I want to say it's not safe, but like, you just have to have different support systems, different ways of going about life because you can't rely on one set of people for everything. And I think that's where I screwed up a lot because it was just yeah, I think that's
yeah,
probably
no,
the one
I think I
thing
understand what you're
that I
saying.
can.
So,
Uh,
would you say that that was like a an integral part of why like things played out the way they did is because your single support system, by the sounds of it, just like kind of fell underneath you, and because there
oh
were
yeah,
no
but
other supports. Okay.
my parents were awesome. I mean, I am very, 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 very fortunate to have people that are understanding and um, that have their shit together, so I can not have my shit together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, that and some people don't have that, and sometimes I think about that. I'm like, oh my, like what the hell would have happened to me if
Mm-hmm.
God
I
knows
feel it.
what,
Right.
if my parents hadn't paid for my college and now I'm $80,000 in debt with no fucking degree. Who knows
Mm.
how that would have affected me differently. So I really just have to go God and then hope I get rich someday so I can pay my dad back $80,000.
Yeah. Damn.
Fuck ton of money. It's like
Eighty thousand dollars a lot.
my net worth is $5 in a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
My
That's
net
it.
worth is yes, pocket lint and a Nature Valley bar.
Crumbs. Hell yeah, you
Yes. Yes.
crumbs
Crumbs everywhere.
everywhere.
So okay, you learn like in therapy and like by learning the through like the phone conversations, like being self accountable, things like that. So you sort of had like you were developing a sense of accountability, which required internalizing shame and basically you couldn't lie to yourself. You had to be like, you had to have integrity because it didn't really
Yeah.
matter. It was like you're only lying to yourself. Um,
Yeah.
so was that was the life experience a bigger factor into you becoming more into you becoming less willfully ignorant, because like I want to like describe like you sort of like ignoring your like your declining grades and things like that, like as like
Mhm.
willful ignorance, because like you did know, as you were saying, but like,
Oh,
so would you say that, like, life experience is more or less important than having like a therapist, sort of like, or are they equally important? Do they play their own role?
I think they go hand in hand because you got to have that experience, but then you have to have someone that can help you decode it
Yes, I agree.
and put it into practice, or you put it into a way that's manageable for you. If you can do that by yourself, awesome. If you can't, again, you may, maybe learn those skills and then going forward apply it. But
Hmm.
that's it goes hand in hand. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started therapy, it was in some little church office with the pastor's wife, and she was like, "You should pray more. That's going to help."
Word.
Okay, but
But
what else?
yeah.
you know, and so she was okay, but I don't know why but they gave us like a big list of therapists, and I don't know, my mom and I were like, let's go to that one. I have no idea why. Again,
Hmm.
my family is not big. My dad was raised Catholic, but my mom was not. I went to my mom's baptism. I remember my mom's baptism.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
was like, wait, what? Oh, then
yeah.
then I
So
understood.
like, I don't know why we picked that one, but then we bounced around to a couple until I found one that was kind of like very cool. She was old, but she was cool as fuck. Um, and she just, again, kind of helped. Anyone who works with teenagers is a goddamn saint. I mean, first of all, they're assholes. I was an asshole. Still retain a little bit of that, but she was just kind of like, look, I'm going to level with you. You're depressed. Here's how we're going to fix that shit. Boom, 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 boom.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, uh, okay, because you know,
Were you resistant to
you
any of
know,
that? Were you like offended? Were you like, she's like looking right through, like, you know what I mean? Like she's assuming.
like I was like a little. I actually wrote about it in my college admittance essay, and I was like a little turd about it. I was like, I don't want to go to therapy. Nah.
Right, right. She doesn't know shit.
My, yeah, exactly. And my parents are like, okay, that's cool. But you're crying on the bathroom floor, so we're gonna take you to therapy. You little psychopath. Get in the car. So I did, and obviously I'm a better person for it. I I think re every depiction of therapy in like pop culture is like some sulky teenager going, I don't want to be their experiment. And that's what I was, because I was dramatic at first, because I thought, actually I was very scared of needles, like up until, oh, I don't know, last year. I would cry when I got my flu shot. And I like didn't want them to like do blood tests on me. I didn't know that you didn't have to do blood tests to start medication. That's why I originally didn't want to go on meds, because I was like, meh, needles. And then finally I was like, all right, fuck me up, fam. Just give me what you got.
Yeah,
I'm
load me up with whatever.
seriously. And then, so at first I was obviously like, don't experiment on me. And then now I'm like, running into the therapist's office, like, what the fuck is up, Kimberly? Give me my good shit. I swear to God. I need my pills. Um, or no, Kimberly doesn't give me my pills. I have the best psychiatrist. His dog is in his office. With him. He got married in a cape to his husband, and the front part of the office is a boutique, and they sell like really pretty little like knickknack things. And then in the back, you get your pills and you get to pet a dog, and it's the best place I've ever been in my entire life.
Damn. Wow.
Yep. So awesome.
None of my experiences ever been close to something that.
Actually, both of my psychiatrists have been gay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go into psychiatry, you're gay. You heard it here first.
Right. Okay. Let me like distill like everything you just said. Um, no, it wasn't like loaded or anything. I was just like I was engaged, and the dog story. I was thinking about dogs after that. So hold up.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
And gay psychiatrists too. Shit. Yeah, because I think like if you're gonna go into therapy at any age acting like a broody teenager, you might as well not be there. But there's really
Yeah.
like you have to sort of be there to like it's like if you go to the gym and you like you can't do shit and like you're super sore and you don't want to be there, but it's like the fact that you went there and you started and like you're exposed to it is like necessary. Because I know so many people,
at least.
yes,
Right.
because some people who either really need it and they say that it doesn't help, or people who they don't necessarily have any trauma. I mean, but I think at the end of the day, everyone could use therapy. They still say I haven't tried it, but I can, like, I don't think I would ever do that. And which makes sense if you have to pay for it. But like in college, I was like telling all my friends, I'm like, dude, it's free, and you need
and
to
they have to listen to you.
Yes, for an hour. You can
they
talk about
legally
whatever.
have to listen to you.
Yes. So yeah. So I think it's like it's okay. Going back to the original story I told you about, the Jordan Peterson thing, when I first started talking about that, was the analogy to the dragon is that's the example of going to the dragon's lair and slaying him there instead of having him come to your village and fuck shit up there, and then you have to like fight him and then like also defend yourself. So it's like so like
proactive.
Yes, I feel like in general, like on top of us saying that, like understanding that you need to do stuff, like really understanding that, not lying to yourself, and then doing it proactively so you don't have to like. I think those two things for me personally are the things that, like, if I remember those before, like I have like a task in front of me, like it's going to make that task so much like doable, so much more doable. Yeah.
Something that I have a lot of trouble with is, it might be the easiest task in the world, but my least favorite thing is starting. The actual sitting down, opening up the computer and beginning to do whatever is the worst. So I read a tip actually, and it's set a timer for 2 minutes. That's all you got to do. 2 minutes of work. Anyone can do 2 minutes of anything. And half the time the problem is just getting started. And so, if the timer goes off and you're like, I'm done. Okay, at least you got 2 minutes of work done. But chances are that the problem was the starting. You're on a roll. Why stop now?
Would you say that you're more like, because what you're saying, like, I resonate with, in the sense that I usually need momentum to start, like, to like do things. So I definitely resonate with you in that. But like also like with like having not insane ADHD. I have like a decent amount of ADHD, but like being able to gain momentum and then being able to switch to something, because like if I step away from the thing that I start for like 5 or 10 minutes, I come back, I've lost everything. So it's like I need to have, like, my issue in college. Sorry, what did you say?
No. You have two modes. It's either hyper focus or nothing focus, and you need to
dial up tone, or exactly. So like in college, I figured out like the less amount of classes that I had and the less amount of like responsibilities I had outside of class, the worse my grades were. But the more classes I had and like the more like responsibilities I had outside of class and like the things that I had going on, my grades were like almost perfect, which is really weird. Yeah. So it's like,
well, actually, it's I don't know if that specifically is what it is, but that's like optimal arousal, which is not a sex thing. It's why when you're looking for an address, you turn the radio down, because when you're doing a high focus task, low distractions, so quiet music, classical music, whatever, to help you focus with that, or on a broader scale, more things helping you get good grades, operate on a schedule, is helping you with that. And that's why when you're playing like a game on your phone, you can have TV on in the background.
right.
So it's kind of that. It's a very delicate balance. And again, I only know the optimal arousal, the turning down the volume when you're looking for a
address.
Thank you. But it sounds, because I have the exact same thing. I'm like, there is an exact right amount of activities that I can have. If I have too many, I will shut down and take a nap. If I have too little, I'll be like, oh, I have too much time, I can take a nap. So there is an exact right amount of stuff that I have to do in a day. Otherwise, it's fucked. I don't know if that's the same thing, but like it's kind of
in
that sort of the same vein.
I resonate with that.
I'm not a psychiatrist.
One of the things that like I realize also helps is that I don't I would always multitask, and I thought that was my strong suit. But it was
Mhm.
really doing like a bunch of tasks like one on one. So like I always thought that I could listen to music while I wrote a chemistry report, and then like have RuneScape on my second monitor. But then I realized that like
Yeah.
that's not my strong suit because I'm just like feeding the ADHD dragon. Like I'm just like distracting myself,
Yeah.
and so I'm like being like I'm third assing like these three things. But then when I
Yep.
went to like, okay, I'm just gonna dial in this live report, no music, like my
Mhm.
efficiency would be like at 100%, and I'd be
Oh,
dialed
yeah.
in. And then
Yeah.
so it's really weird because like ADHD is one of those things that like is, I guess it's labeled as a disability, but like if you know how to operate it, it's like honestly
Oh
kind of a
my god.
superpower. It's really
It is.
weird.
It is. I was just thinking that. If you know how to manipulate that shit, oh my god, it's awesome. I worked on my website today for 2 hours, and I looked up and I was like, "Where the hell did the time go?" I didn't even pee, and that is amazing for me because, I pee every 5 seconds, so I don't have that ability to focus,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What the hell happened?" I
Yeah.
was just into it.
I think that's like the main reason why like mental health is so like there's so compared to our knowledge of like physical health, it's like
Mhm.
so small because these sort of things is like you have to, the only way you can know that is if you live through it yourself. Like I don't really
Yeah.
know. You have to discover that. Like no one in
Mhm.
school, if you have ADHD, it's really just like take amphetamines and chill, dog. But like
Yeah.
people, like that's a mode of being, and people need to be like oriented in that way instead of
Yeah.
being like
Yeah.
that's
You
sounds
kind of have
trite,
to do
but
a study on yourself.
yeah, like you have to be your own experiment. Is how I say it.
Yeah.
Just like do shit like
Yeah.
yeah, and plus doing the right thing all the time is boring, and it gets boring, and it gets unbearable. So
Exactly.
yeah, go shotgun a four
There's
loco
another
sometimes. What? Not that.
for my 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 4 gal pals and I, we made a fantasy league. There's
Uh,
only 4 of us, and, that's the punishment if you lose. You have to do Edward 4 Loco hands.
that's how you die.
I was like, "That's fine if I lose, but you guys are cleaning up my vomit and my dead body."
Yeah, and you're gonna pay the ambulance bill and everything. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's good though.
So, yeah, we hate we hate ourselves. No, there's a comic and it's like, "I love routine until I'm bored, and then I need spontaneity until I'm frazzled, and then I love routine." And it's kind of like a vicious cycle. You gotta it's everything is about balance. Everything is about balance.
My therapist, sorry, I should say one of my therapists, told me something that was probably like the coolest one liner I ever heard a counselor or therapist say, and it was
Mhm.
and she said that life is a tightrope, and in order to move forward, you have to be balanced. And like, I was, I would always do these things where I was like, okay, well, if I like drink a lot, like in college, I used to drink like 3 monsters a day and like those dumbass rain drinks that were like 300 milligrams of caffeine. I would drink 3 of those a day,
God.
and I would just be like wired. And at the end of the day, I would be so nauseous. And I was like, well, like I don't have heart palpitations, and like I'm cool, and like I'm not overeating, so like this is getting
Mhm.
my goals done. But like when I was so nauseous, I could like I didn't even want to go hang out or play video games with my friends because like as I was staring at
Yeah.
the screen and I was laughing, like
Yeah.
that was enough energy for me to like get dizzy. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit. So it's like these like
Yeah.
tiny little sacrifices that you think are like optimizing the way you live are really like inviting the dragon to come and like eat you up, because like that's
Mhm.
yeah. So balance is huge. Also,
Yeah.
balance is also one of those things that no one can tell you how to balance your life. Like you have to do yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
You have to be respectful of your balances and other people's balances. Like,
yes.
when someone says, "Oh, I'm not doing anything," that could mean they're actually free, or that could mean they are not doing anything and they are choosing to do nothing and just
Right.
dick around. Need
And you have to
everyone needs
respect
dick
that.
around time.
Right. That's
And that's why
sorry, keep going.
it's so much better being an adult now, because I was hanging out with friends a couple of weekends ago. We were drinking, having a good time, and then I was like, I stood up and I was like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, I need a nap for an hour. I'll be right back. I took a nap for an hour and I was fine. And
Yeah.
in high school, college, whatever, but that might have been weird because like, oh, we need a
Right.
nap. What are you talking about? And I'm like, no, I need to go be an introvert for hour by myself, and then I will come be social again. and I was very fun after that. So
Right. I
yeah,
know in
know
high
yourself.
school, like everyone had to, like, you couldn't say like I don't want to hang out. You couldn't say like no, I'm not feeling it tonight. You know what I mean? Like you had to like either say you had to either go or you had
Oh,
to have some like grand excuse. You know what I mean?
yeah, and you don't have to have an excuse for everything, and that's what I'm finding also, like, now in the working world, I don't have to say where the fuck I'm going. I say, "Hey, I'm not gonna be there this afternoon."
Right.
You need a
And
doctor's
it's
note or
and
something.
it's yeah, like it's I think it's cool to like it's normal to not pry after that. Like I think now when people like I say like I can't come, like I don't think I'll make it out tonight. If someone actually questions me beyond that, that's when I get like a little bit offended. Like you shouldn't be entitled to like why I'm not coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Unless, like, the only people who can do that is, like, my bestest friend. That's it. Other than that,
Right. Yeah. Cause I had
I'm
coworkers. Your mic lagged. What'd you say?
what? Oh, no, that was you hear that?
No, I can't.
Okay, 'cause I don't know, someone's screaming in the other room.
I
We're
can't hear
very
it.
loud
That's
people
cool.
in the house. Okay.
Okay. Um.
Um,
Yeah. So
damn
like
it, I knew that was okay. You know where the train of thought was going? Because I was like,
yes, because I was gonna talk about boundaries in terms of like coworkers.
yeah.
Like you have to be like okay, this whole like therapy and like paying attention to your emotions and stuff. Like you have to pay attention to what you're telling yourself too, and make sure like when you're not when you're telling yourself these things, you also have to separate yourself from the situation at hand, like we talked about earlier. But like
Mhm.
when talking about boundaries, when you like, I used to be very imprecise when I used to talk to people. Like I would say like, oh yeah, like we should totally do that sometime. And a lot of people take that as like, I'm down to go. I'm anticipating you to like give a date. You know what I mean? Which is like
Yeah.
reasonable because I said that basically.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people like, I think it's honestly it's scary. Like not that many like behaviors scare me because like I've done so many things. Like I sort of know the origin of behavior, but like one of the things that like actually scares me about some grown ass adults is when they don't have boundaries. You know what I mean? And like they do pry and stuff like that. It's like, dude, chill. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just like it's like unsettling.
Yeah.
So and like you can't deal with that nicely. You have to say like you have to say that explicitly right then and there. That like, dude, I'm not gonna tell you why I
Not,
can't do that. Yeah, you got to be very
it's
careful.
my own.
It's my own shit.
That was actually something that I was so going back to what you were saying about how you identified that feeling when you were in third grade as sad.
Mm.
Um, so would you say that you like maybe exaggerated sometimes your feelings of sadness to not do certain things?
I would feel that reluctance that I had like originally. Like this is how it developed. Like I
Mhm.
would feel that reluctance, and then every single
Mm.
time that I convinced myself that like there was inherently something like about this reality that wasn't for me. You know what I mean? Like it was like that's not how I felt actually in third grade. And like, now that I'm thinking back, that's how I think. But like it was like that sadness that just became stronger and stronger and stronger till like I couldn't identify it. It was just like the most static apathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that answers your question. I
Mhm.
don't really know what like exactly how to answer that question.
Well, maybe this part next might clarify it. So like the imposter syndrome, not among us.
Yeah, I know what
Different.
you mean. Yeah.
Um, when people feel like they haven't, achieved their
Current
they don't feel
status.
deserving of their accolades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like sometimes when you like, because I know personally I've been like, oh, I'm I'm sick, kind of like that. And then, when I am actually sick, or like, when I'm having having my problems with like my jaw, and like I'm like, I can't feel my face. My face friggin' hurts. Um, you feel almost like you need to explain, like you need to like show the receipts of like, here is where like over explain your
To
problem
who?
or
To like the
whatever it
people
is.
around you?
I would say I would mostly at work or school, just being like,
Okay.
"Oh, where were you?" And I was like,
Oh, I see what you
dying.
mean.
I have, I can't see my." So because I know sometimes I feel guilty, but even though like this is a very real thing for me, like I was having terrible migraines, my jaw locked up, like you can see my friggin' masseter muscle move, like
Right.
it hurts.
So
My jaw popped.
when you're actually sick, that's when you started to feel some sort of guilt, where like I need to
And like
explain everything that's happening. Like,
yeah.
okay,
So and I don't know if I necessarily did it with well, maybe a little bit with my depression, but I would lie, oh, I like have a cold or whatever, because no one wants to talk about depression. It's very scary.
too
Um,
scary.
so kind of that I don't know if it actually qualifies as an imposter syndrome, but like, yeah, you are kind of validating your own feelings. And again, it goes back to the boundaries of what's okay to tell people, what's not okay to tell people.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I don't really know how to like. That's I don't really know anything else to label that like more closely than imposter syndrome,
mhm,
because that's like a
yeah.
byproduct. It's like a it's like one of those things that like is so entangled, like ingrained in the way that like you move, that like I think that it gets coupled. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like
But I definitely think it does go back to boundaries. Like, and it's definitely boundaries in personal life, but I mean, also even, personal about like, how far you can push yourself, knowing when you need rest, because, you should always give your best, but, if you're sick or tired or, what have you, it's not your best at that point anymore. So,
right. Okay,
really
I
being
haven't.
able
Okay,
to listen to, no,
my
you're
bad.
good.
Keep going. Okay. Um.
But being able to listen to yourself is
Yes. So.
best.
Um. Dude, I totally lost it. It wasn't your fault. It was just like I lifted up this book and I saw a word and I lost it.
But
Um.
that's fair.
Wait, what did you say right before that?
Imposter, boundaries, personal boundaries.
Oh shit! Hold up! Hold up! Hold up! It was saying something about What were you like? What was your example that you said? My bad. You're like you.
Work, like I'd be, would be sick, but I wouldn't be that sick. So kind of
Oh,
exaggerating your
oh, okay.
wellness.
Okay, so do you
There,
think? So okay, that's not like okay, that's an aspect like self care, like being honest with yourself and being like
hmm
your like
yeah,
personal limitations, I guess.
hmm
Um,
yeah,
so my issue with self care is like also the integrity aspect and being honest with yourself, because I think a lot of
yep,
self care is there's self sabotage masquerading as self care, and like people who
hmm
aren't honest with themselves with their personal limitations are gonna be like, because it sounds like a pretty like virtuous thing to be like, I'm taking care of myself and I have this and the other thing, but in reality I feel like it's just like you are putting a band-aid on like a gaping
raw
wound.
spot.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah. So unless you like, self-care is like obviously a great idea, but like it gets to
Mhm.
like, I'll tell you, when I fell into like the self-care trap, it was really when I
Mhm.
didn't need any break at all. It was really like I hit a slump and like whatever compounding habit that I was
Yep.
trying to do, and I was just bored. It was like I deserve like a break from this, but it wasn't like I'm at my wits end. I have no
Mhm.
energy. I'm too like, it was none of that. So
Yep.
that's like my whole problem with that, is because like at the end of the day, like people want to like explain themselves, like going back to what you're saying, like you have to
Yep.
explain yourself that you're sick, but it's like at the end of the day, it only really matters if you're telling yourself the truth, because no one else really gives a shit. It's like, this is your own life. Like, go
Yep.
and be honest with yourself. Like, don't explain to me why. Um, I had people like in high school, like people would be like, "Bro, I didn't do my homework because this and the other thing." Like, and it was like, dude, I don't give a shit. It's like I'm not the teacher. Like, I'm not gonna listen to your like bullshit ass story.
Yeah. I was
Um,
literally like when I talked about in eighth grade when I stopped doing my math homework, I was like, yeah, I just didn't do it.
right.
He's like, why? I'm like, I literally looked at it and I was like, this is too long. I don't feel like doing it. And then I just didn't do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry. Self-care.
Right. Exactly.
Eighth grade, I was the worst. Self-care. Oh my God. Had you? Could you imagine like looking into a teacher's eye in 8th grade and going, self-care. That's why I didn't do my math homework. That's my excuse.
As my fucking
I have a doctor
as an
write that
eighth
out for
grade
me.
teacher, I'd be like,
I hate a kid. I don't care.
yeah.
Mr. Wallach should have decked me hard.
Okay, that's honestly okay. On top of being like teaching teenagers in general, like you're talking about earlier, like you're like they're saints. Teaching teenagers now when like they're being raised by like bullshit ass Twitter. Like Twitter has a lot of good things coming out of it, but like regardless, if whatever, like if you just watched like Jordan Peterson, even though he's like a really helpful guy in terms of like developing your character, like it's gonna have like a pretty adverse effect on you if you're not just like listening to someone else's like slightly different opinions. It's like these kids who are like
Yeah,
they go
you
home.
can't.
Like okay, we had Facebook. Like we used Facebook regularly, like in 7th grade. I think it was like 7th grade.
I get my charger.
Okay. But like I could not imagine having it like the phone I have now as like a 5th grader being on like, having nothing to
Holy
do.
shit.
Like, dude, your brain's gonna rot with like misinformation and like shitty modes of being that like these people that you're around are like this is if anyone tells you any differently. Like okay, like back when like there was this thread on Twitter that had like 50,000 or 500,000 likes, and it was like if your parents don't like openly say Black Lives Matter, don't talk to them until they do. Like completely like withdraw love from them until they do. And it was like okay, there's a difference between having a conversation about like what matters to you and like why it matters to you, and like hey, we'll have your back if you totally turn your back on your parents and they don't believe in this thing that like is. Like so yeah, it was just like it's a mess. So first of all, raising kids, I'm scared shitless because of that. And being a teacher, it's like it's advancing so quick that like the training to deal with that stuff, I guarantee you, is being made up on the spot, and like it's gonna be like you know, like yeah. Bro. I don't want to sound like a head ass, but I'm glad that we grew up in the time that we did, because like how much more depressed would you be if you had like a fully functioning multiple social media websites like as like starting in 6th grade? Like wouldn't you feel like shit?
Like, oh my God. Like, and then Facebook was mostly your friends, but being able to look at like other people, famous people so intimately,
Mm-hmm.
I've had way more problems. Like just,
Yeah, and like okay, I feel like bullying for girls too is like way more like psychological. That's why I feel like if
it's so different.
being like a
Yeah.
like a teen girl would be even worse, because like if you're a dude, like you were always playing Xbox when you got home from school, so you were always talking to like or like PlayStation, whatever. Like you're always talking to your friends, and like the way the dudes communicate is that like they would just make fun of your face right then and there. You guys would basically settle it for the most part, and then you just play games. But for like I've seen like the shit that like can go on with girls. It's like the most like malicious shit. It's like yeah, it is. Like
oh my God, like why? It's
yeah.
I I have younger cousins, and I'm just like,
I wish you the best, young cousin.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know if you've seen The Social Dilemma on
terrified.
Netflix.
No, I have not, but
Okay.
I know generally.
You should watch it. I mean, it's like one of those documentary and drama, like whatever they call it, like combinations. Like the drama part is pretty stupid, but
Yeah.
the documentary part, the biggest takeaway from that really is that like they explain why there's such a polarizing like political division right now is because basically what Facebook wants you to do is like they want to drive you back so you click more. Obviously, that's how it works. But like if you're like sort of liberal, they'll only show you more posts that you agree with, so you keep clicking on them. So it's like if you keep going on your phone and like the algorithm only shows you shit that you're gonna keep clicking on, and like it showed like the polarization graph between like 20 years ago and today, and it was like this, and it was like this. So it was like, and like you can't just like up and stop and say, hey guys, stop doing that. Like this is like a system in place that like Yeah.
that they thought would have one effect, just the clicks, but then I don't think they realized that, oh shit, it's gonna
Start a
drive
civil
that.
war. Yeah. One engineer comes up
Yeah.
with a way to increase revenue, and then next step,
Ruin America. Congratulations.
5 dominoes later, it's ruining America. Yes. Goofy ass shirt. Make
I
America
love
goated
it.
again. Dude.
Actually, I read about on Twitter, like, I don't know, some liberal journalist, I don't know, his kid's in 5th or 6th grade and obviously has a phone, and the kid's on the internet, and the kid is hardcore conservative now because he got on some website and read all this shit and is like arguing with his dad, and his dad is like, this is exactly the opposite of like what normally happens. Like the kids are supposed to get more liberal, and this kid is like a friggin' miniature Lindsey Graham. Like,
Damn, he's wearing a suit and tie to class every day. Shit.
yeah, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's. Ugh.
Imagine becoming adversaries with your teenage kid, like through
Oh
social
my
media.
god.
Yeah, that's rough. Cause like your kids are like literally getting radicalized, and you can't do anything about it. So it's like, I hope you spend your time on the internet wisely. Like, I spent tens of thousands of man hours playing Call of Duty instead of going on Reddit and like listening to bullshit takes about
Yeah, at
whatever.
that point, you're like, yeah, fuck it, play a shooter. I don't give a shit. Stab people,
Yeah,
kill
yeah,
a
yeah.
hooker, kill a car, whatever.
Exactly.
Flip a meth house. GTA 5.
That's insane. Like I'm considerably more concerned about limiting social media exposure than I am about playing violent video games. Like I
Oh,
am
for
biased,
sure.
but like now
Yeah.
it's like, dude, there are real life implications that are measurable instantly, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why I think that
Yeah.
therapy should be common. Like I
Mandatory.
think honestly, okay, I don't think colleges even have like the amount of like resources to do this, but I feel like it should
God, no,
like
no.
be considered that like a school like John Carroll, this might be able to work. Probably not. But
Mhm.
like people should really be encouraged for just one visit. You know what I mean? Like come through one time, we'll give you like a beer koozie or something. Like that would be like okay, like I'll do it.
Exactly.
Like it's like going for like a regular physical. Like people should be checked up on
Just kind of
because
text it out.
people like
Exactly. Like,
underestimate the shit that happens. Like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. Blah blah blah.
exactly.
Yeah.
How much it impacted them. Uh, First one is I think even shit, hold on. Train's
You're
coming back
good.
into the
You're good.
station. Give me a second. Um, the coming in just once. Crap. Coming in just once is good for you, and then okay, roll on my next example. So, like, my house got broken into when I was home. I had to hide under my bed.
Oh
I was the
shit.
only person home. Yeah, and that was 2 years ago. That was right before like I left Kentucky. So obviously, it really affected me in a way that I was like, and I thought it was okay afterwards. We got security cameras, but like just
Yeah,
thinking
you were
about that now,
fucking
it is
yeah. Fuck that.
very incredibly traumatic. Like that was one of my worst fears growing up, and thank God it never happened. But
You ended up living through it.
and again, I don't think I realized how much that affected me. And again, having an outlet to that is so much better. I remember what I was going to say. Also, in therapy, all you get to do is talk about yourself. Everyone is their own favorite subject. It is the best
Right.
thing. That's why I used to like going to the dentist and the doctor when I was little, because I was like, we're going to talk about me for an hour. I love this shit.
Yeah.
People love themselves. That's what they need to sell it on. Like you get to go talk
Right.
about yourself for an hour, and they
Mm.
have to listen to you.
Right.
That is
Like
their
yeah.
job to listen to you.
And it doesn't like okay, like even then as a guy that wouldn't have sounded appealing to me, but once you start doing it, you're like, this feels amazing. Like it's
Yeah,
so weird. It's so weird. That's the way she
seriously,
goes.
exactly. Like I think half the fun of dudes having like podcasts or like Discord is so that they can talk, have a nice, genuine conversation with their friends and not be
100%.
judged for being on the phone.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Full stop. It's wild. I was thinking about I was having talk with someone about this is what age would you most want to be during this whole COVID shit?
Hmm.
And I said in utero because I am not having a good time right now, man.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, I don't really know
Um,
because damn, I would. You took the best answer.
People at every age range, like little kids, not having a good time. Elementary school, not having a good time. Middle school is already not having a good time, and now this shit happens. High
Right.
school, no. College, no. Right now, not great.
Right.
Be fucking old as hell and rich and living in my retired beach house somewhere. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it never has anything impacted anyone so across all age levels and as hard as this. And I think that's why we're all kind of like, what the fuck? It's not, this isn't like, I don't sound bad, but this isn't like another school shooting where there's like, a protocol to try and follow. This is
Yeah, because
shit. I
you're
don't fucking
taking
know.
like my biggest concern is like I think about okay, so like the first thing that I was worried about when COVID first starting was like, wow, I know how like amazing my like last 3 months of my senior year of college were. So like I'm hyped for my junior friends who are gonna become seniors to like to go and live through that. And that's like when they have to go home their final 3 months of their senior year of college. I'm like, I don't have anything to say to you because like it's one of those things where it's like there's no monetary value on that. Like it's just like I mean sure like people can
Yeah.
argue that
It's a life. You gotta go.
the life experience of you going through that is like just as valuable. I mean technically it is, but it's like a
Yeah.
really weird thing where it's like yeah like you won't ever be able to experience what it's like to. But like in kids growing up in middle school and high school who like had dude I was so bored in high school, even though I had like every single video game in the world. By the time it hit August, I was like, I need to go back to school. Like, I need to see my friends. I need to like
Yeah.
do that. So it's like, dude, I cannot imagine
Something,
back to
yeah.
back semesters doing Zoom things, being like
Mhm.
in kindergarten, like in first grade, doing like online learning. Like, bro, yeah, I would be
Yeah.
in
But I
utero.
mean,
That's it.
yep. I mean, like even obviously high school is not great across the board, but like the last 3 months of senior year, you don't fucking do anything. It's so fun to have that freedom to just straight up going, I'm leaving school and you physically cannot stop me. You know, dick around and that kind of thing. Do I want to relive it? No, but I'm glad I lived it.
Yes, 100%.
Best way to put it, I think. It's
Yeah, no, it's one of the greatest experiences you never want to live again.
head exactly.
Like I never want to live in a college dorm room again, but like I think back those memories, I'm like that was so much fun. These yeah, like
Yeah, it's kind of one of those like essential things that you need to do, but you don't want to. That's I already said that, but you don't want to
no,
do it
you're
again. But it
right.
was fun.
Yeah, yeah,
The moment it was awesome. Never want to live off ramen again and have exactly $5 in my bank account and then
mm,
go sell clothes at Plato's Closet to go get booze money so I could drink that night. I don't want to do that again necessarily, but
mm-hmm.
those were great
Yeah,
nights.
right. And that also, honestly like also plays on the importance of like the social aspect, the networking aspect, the lifestyle aspect of going to college and like in high school because like the education is still there, but like the
It's your
most
first time
important
you're on
part.
your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for you especially because like I know that like you put academics to the side per se. Like
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
you still have like an $80,000 experience that you're living through. Like
I
that's how it goes.
got my money's worth. I will
Yes.
tell you that much.
That's what I'm saying. It's like at the end of the day, things didn't go as
That
planned, but yeah.
I still learned. I learned a lot about myself. You know, is
Yes.
that worth $80,000 to my parents?
We don't know
Who's to
yet.
say?
We don't know yet.
We'll find out. We'll see what kind of person I become.
Yeah, because it's also one of those things where like I always used to rationalize like going through shitty things like in college and stuff is like I would much rather be betrayed in this level. I'll keep it like general just for like relatability, but I'd rather be betrayed at this level in this institution instead of like being married and having like to take care of people and like having to like have like a career on the line. It's just like so those experiences it's like yeah like so
Exactly.
like I can like
Failing
you're
small.
yes like in like your case like it was it's like obviously valid as shit that like you felt the way you did when you're like, regardless if I stay or leave, like shit's gonna go bad. But like all things considered, like yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the toughest part about that is I was just thinking about this is it's kind of like there's a Family Guy episode and they're caught in a traffic jam and uh Lois says to Peter, "Can you look out the window and see up ahead what's causing the traffic jam?" And Peter sticks his head out the window and goes, animators haven't finished drawing it yet." And it's kind of like that. It's that blind faith of like, we're here, we're already freaking on the road. I guess, let's see where this goes. It can't be much worse than this.
Yes.
Probably.
Okay, so like going back to the phone thing, like okay, there's like I think it's like a Socrates quote or some shit, but it's like the same tools you have to defend yourself against the future are the same tools you have that are currently defending you against the present or something like that. So it was basically like all this worrying and trying to prepare for like what's gonna happen and stuff and like trying to like get all the facts straight before it's like, well, when it happens, you're gonna have to deal with it one way or another. So it's like I don't know. I think that sort of coincides with what you just said. Maybe.
I get that. Like the future is happening right now.
Right.
Is
like
the future. It was the future. This is the future of when we started recording this.
Yes.
It's coming. Whether you want it to or not.
Right. You're gonna get me banned. Actually, no. YouTube's pretty lib. Yeah. I don't know, that like it kind of gets me hyped though because like okay, Kanye tweeted life is more exciting than movies like a long time ago. And I mean, he didn't make that quote, but like I think about that a lot in terms of what you just said because if you just let life play it out and not resist those changes and like those expectations didn't fall through, like it literally can get just as exciting being like this is the way that things are playing out and I'm gonna ride the wave. And it's almost like because if you accept that and like you detach yourself from your expectations, that's when like life does get fun because then you fully accept like whatever happens next, I can't expect it, so it's like fuck it, I might as well. Obviously it's much harder to do in practice because we have like insane intense feelings, but I've only been able to do that like once or twice, and that's like
hard. It's for sure hard. I think I remember reading and they said hold on, train has left the station without me. One moment.
making me music or me menu music.
Do, 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 do. My God, that did not help.
That made it worse.
Made it so much worse.
That song is a block beater. Sorry, keep going.
Letting someone do their own thing.
Expectation.
Expectation.
Animators didn't.
Oh God.
Just going forward proactively to the future, not
Of letting it ride. Yeah, ride the wave. Going with the flow.
I already forgot the other details, so
I have no fucking clue. It is absolutely gone.
It's gone. It's written in stone, but our thoughts are fleeting. It's gone.
Yeah. Who knows?
That's why I like journaling, by the way, because you need to preserve some of those fleeting thoughts. I mean, I like journaling. I just started doing it. I was one of those people who always rode for it, but I never did it. So I was fake as shit.
I kept it on my phone, but like, so if I get like a good thought for like something in the middle of the night, but normally I woke up and it's like green bean casserole, but with cheese. I'm like, why did I
mean, you could have been onto something. Who knows?
I don't know. I've never made a green bean casserole. Do they normally have cheese, or is that like or am I Gordon Ramsay of?
I know how to cook grilled chicken and order pizza. So
That's fair.
And make HelloFresh meals.
Someone did a tweet that was like, what if HelloFresh just came with 2 Adderall and a Nerds rope? And I was like, I'd order it.
That's a college experience right there. That's funny.
That's what I had to live off of. Adderall and a nerd's rope.
I prefer Sour
Jolly
Patch
Ranchers
Kids.
during the good times. Oh, I do like Sour Patch
Yeah,
Kids.
Sour Patch Watermelon.
Oh, those are good. That
Yes.
reminds me of the movie theaters.
Oh yeah. Damn.
It was so funny that they would test for like drinking at school dances when that never crossed my mind. I was like, but I will tell you, I had a lot of Sour Patch Kids before one dance, and I stood there and I looked at the strobe light the whole time. It was the best dance I've ever been to.
So
Like a winter
you're
formal.
turned off of Sour Patch Kids.
Yes.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Awesome.
Word.
Kitty, what's going on? I have no fucking clue. I had a great time in dinner, and I'm just standing here looking at the strobe light. When are we going home? I want chicken.
I'm off a bag of Sour Patch Kid. Don't talk to me. Damn.
5, and I weighed like 100 pounds. Okay, I was dying. It was. No idea what was going on. It was fantastic.
Okay. I believe you. I believe you.
There was one time senior year where we had like a crunch bar, and we looked at my fan for 4 hours. It was so awesome. It's like my favorite memory with like 2 homies from high school. It was like a Wednesday. It's before block day. We were like, you know what we should do tonight? Go my fan.
Split a fucking crunch bar.
It's delicious.
So you never dabbled in those things. So once you did, it was like.
I think I actually smoked anything until I was a junior.
No, I meant like eating like junk food and stuff.
Junk food? Oh no. Did like I'm not a big chocolate like sweets person because my mom used to buy like those giant bags of M&Ms, and then my sister would go to soccer practice, my dad would be working late, and so I would like shovel M&Ms into my mouth, and then like at one point I ate so many that like I was sick, like horribly sick, and my mom's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No," and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't tell you because then you'd be like, well, you're a dumbass."
So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna sit here and cross my arms.
We needed a 10-pound bag of M&Ms, you stupid kid. Literally, she would leave the second I heard that door, like the garage door shut. I would get that bag of M&Ms and I would go sit in front of like her work computer and I would watch South Park because it was still online.
That's awesome.
Good times.
Damn.
And South Park was still free on the internet.
Yeah, I would go over to friends' houses and like their moms would always have like these extravagant like glass bowl displays with like M&Ms and Reese's and stuff, and I would be like if I had this shit in my house, I would be dead. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is like Disney World. What the fuck? Yeah, but that's dangerous. Those
they
shits
just
can
leave this out for you. What the fuck? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we talked for an hour and 20 minutes.
That is.
It's what?
4:30. I don't.
See, the time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun, man.
Yes. So if there's anything, I mean, we could have ended it there, but if there's anything you want to plug or say, then I will continue this. Just real quick. It doesn't have to be long. Like, go follow me on Instagram or some shit. Or, like, go follow my blog.
Vote.
Vote?
Vote. That's it. Vote.
Kitty says vote.
And I already did it. Turned in my absentee ballot yesterday. Desi, come here. Wait, let me plug my cat. Come here. Desi, come here. Come here. Come here. It's a good girl. Come here. She's gonna do it.
Desi!
She's walking very slow. Come on, little girl. This is her favorite place to sit when, like, she will kick me out of this chair. Come on, you jump up. Come on. Come on.
Kitty.
Oh, girl. Hi. You love Zoom calls. Whatever this is.
What a cutie.
Hi. She's 13. I've had her since I was in 5th grade.
That's how old my cat is. Damn. I have a lot of anxiety of him dying. So,
she's got kidney problems. I think about that all the time and I get really upset about it. Yeah.
It's debilitating, actually. I'm like.
She's still very sprightly, though. Like, she still has, like, crackhead hours, so I'm like,
Yeah.
You're gonna live till you're 40. I hope you know that. Is that cool with you? Because I need you to live till you're 40. I not think I can handle it. So
Right. Alrighty. Well, I will end this. Thanks for listening, guys. If you made it this far, peace.
congrats.